We're glad to have you back. You're still watching Newsnight here on Arise News with me, Ndi Amuko. The House of Representatives Committee on Public Petitions has invited Governors Hassan earlier and Dada Lawal of Benue and Zamfara states, as well as their respective state assemblies, to discuss the security situation in their states. An invitation is in connection with the rising insecurity in the state, both states, which prompted a petition to the House by a civil rights organization. The legislative arms of the two states are to appear before the committee to explain why their constitutional function should not be taken over by the House because of the insecurity. Well, the invitation, as contained in a statement issued by the head of media, House Committee on Public Petitions, Chuksoko, is sequel to a petition written by a civil rights organization, Guardians of Democracy and Rule of Law, urging the House to take over the functions of the two houses of assembly. But we'll have in the studio Samaila Musa, a public affairs analyst and national coordinator, grassroots mobilization initiative, to look at the development in Zamfara State. Glad to have you join us, Samaila.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, good. This issue of insecurity, of course, has prompted the House to invite both the governors of your state and that of Benue State to appear before it, as well as their House of Assembly, and give reasons why the House should not take over the functions of the House of Assembly. What's your sense of the invitation?
Okay, first, I think we need to actually recognize the effort of the federal government in trying to make sure that the security situation in the country actually change, which this new APC government, I think they've actually done very well, at least this month marks maybe a mid-term assessment, you can say, of the APC government, which is actually a 4-year term. And if you look at the statistics in the past, from the time this government came into power, the issue of insecurity has actually been stemmed to a very large extent, until maybe recently, just last month, April, where we have pockets of issues. But prior to that, I'll tell you that the people I would really give credit to are, first and foremost, the National Security Advisors done very well. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Gwabin, has also done very well. The Minister of Defense, Bagudu, that's the senior minister, has also done very well. But you see, in between April and now, yeah, there are occurrence of some incidences, which is worrisome.
When you say they've done very well.
They've done very well.
Terribly, lives have been lost in Benue.
In the space of 1 month. We have lived in this country where for 8 years, for 16 years, people have been dying in their large numbers, even more than the statistics you have in April. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, we shouldn't be forgetful about what's been happening in the past. It's because we have enjoyed relative peace to a large extent, and that's why people are not worried that what's happening again. So we really need to give kudos to people who have actually worked, people who know their onions, who have actually put in effort. Notwithstanding, sometimes even in international scene, you see where countries who you feel are well secured, you have pockets of incidences. That's a callback to say, what's going on? Where are we missing it? But for people to start calling for a state of emergency, and you see, for a lot of people who are out there, public opinion analysts and all that, know that these are sponsored. Because you see, our organization is actually about good governance. And that's why it's not partisan. We recognize good governance when we see it. This government, or the people who are saddled with the issue of security, have done very well. Whether you like to hear that or not,
many people
I will tell you that.
Agree
and I'll tell you
with that statement. And that's probably why the House of Reps.
No, hold on. Let me land. And that's why you have in Zamfara, you have a PDP governor. In Benue, you have an APC governor. And we're saying, look, it might be too early for anybody to start sponsoring state of emergency. Some overzealous politicians who perhaps want to take over to be a senior minister of defense or to come back as governor of Zamfara are actually behind some of these things. Because ordinarily you will want to ask questions and say, for example, from what time and what time, because it's an indictment. If you are a member of the cabinet, you should know that this government have done very well. You shouldn't go behind and start sponsoring people to sabotage the effort being put in place. Some people have a sleepless night to make sure that we have security. And if the same politicians, like I tell you, we have in this country where a politician who is a former member of the APC confessed publicly that in 2015 or thereabout, they brought in mercenaries from outside Nigeria just to make sure that this destabilize. And why it's worrisome to us is that don't put your ambition at the expense of people's lives. They don't even care how many people are dying. So you just want to create a situation where everybody feels, oh yeah, because there was an incident in River State where the presidency had to come in and say, we declared a state of emergency, so now the state of emergency is going to be like a uniform or something like that.
You see, what you're saying,
yes,
you're probably saying what is happening is politically motivated.
Absolutely.
But you see, when people in government or parties, representatives say politically motivated, these are what the people can see, feel, identify with. So I think it's gone beyond saying politically motivated. These are instances, and the House is taking the initiative, as it were, to invite both governments and their houses of assembly because it's serious.
Yeah, so there's nothing wrong with the invitation. I mean, that's part of their oversight functions. There's nothing absolutely wrong. But I'm telling you, from also, because we also are ear to the ground, we know what's going on. I mean, lobby happen everywhere in the world. Sometimes when you hear people actually either agitating for something or trying to push something, they lobby. So it doesn't mean that the National Assembly cannot be lobbied to go in a particular direction. And that's what we are trying to say. Look, it's too early to begin to call for people's head. We've enjoyed relative peace for quite a lot of time. I mean, since this government come into place. An incident between the space of 1 month is not enough to start calling for state of emergency.
Yeah, but is it enough?
You can call them to come and account for what's really happening in the state.
Good.
But the state of emergency is what's too early to arrive at if there's no anything political about it.
We're talking about call is enough to call them to come and answer, and that's the issue.
Yeah.
Because these governors are called the security officers
of the states
of their state, and they're giving mobilization for that, and yet these things are happening. So one wonders, are they really doing enough, or what are the governors doing to step? I mean, both the federal government and the governors of the states. What are they doing to stem the tide, to get to the root causes of these insecurity issues and be able to address it? So Nigerians can sleep easy with their two eyes closed.
So I'll tell you, because I'm an insider to quite a number of these meetings going on over time. There came a time where, from the angle of the CNG, that's the coalition of other groups, we felt there's a need to do something. And we called for a security summit, which was attended by virtually all the governors in the northern states. All the ministers were also in attendance. The vice president was also in attendance. Why do we call for security summit? So that people are going to forget about their parties. The interest of the people is going to come first, regardless of whether you're PDP or APC or Labour Party or whatever it is. There's no sense in this wanton killings. It has to stop. So we brought everyone together in one hall, and stakeholders begin to make presentations. Committees were formed to go look into all these things. People who have grievances in their states between political leaders look for a way to say, look, let's forget about this for now. The same people who were fighting to govern are being killed on a daily basis. How do we put an end to this, senseless killings?
So after the summit, what?
Then, of course, committees were formed, and everyone's got their responsibilities. There's the committee dealing with the ulamas. There's the one dealing with the Christian religious leaders. There's the one who is handling the civil society organizations. There's the one handling the traditional rulers.
You know, the talk over time has been that.
So this time around, it was different. I don't want to give you the full details of what went in there because we felt there needs to be a different approach to all this. Enough of all those reports that never worked.
Yeah, because that's where I was going to. I mean, what Nigerians are quarreling with is this incidences of
and all that
committees
condemning and all that doesn't make any sense and all that.
We get nowhere.
Exactly.
No action. People are still being killed. So it seems to be a useless venture.
No, so it's not useless venture because we're at the stage of implementation now. Because it takes a long time, people have to go into the field, make some research. What has been going wrong? What's the approach of the previous government that is wrong? Where are they getting it wrong? Why is the solution not, So we need to identify where are the sabotages coming from? Where are the loopholes? All these things needs to be taken holistically, and the governors of the northern states, regardless of the party affiliations, actually came together to say, look, we really want to work. And as far as we know about, from their dispositions, their body languages is saying, look, it's even a plus to us if we can join hands together to make sure there's an end to all these senseless killings. Because if I'm, as a governor of one particular state in the north, I'm able to put an end to these senseless killings, it means my people's confidence is going to be higher in me to say, oh, yeah, at least he has done this one thing for us.
Do you know the primary responsibility of any government, be it state or federal, is protection of lives and property.
Exactly.
So if the government, both at the federal and at the state, are not getting this right, you wonder, what are they doing in government? Why should they even campaign to be voted in again?
Yeah. So what we are saying, the approach is, look, we've had this thing for more than about 16 years. Were you calling for state of emergency? What's the problem? Now we are at the verge of finding solutions to the problems. Forget about your ambitions. Please don't sabotage the system. There's a system going on already. Everybody is forgetting about their party affiliations. People are coming together forgetting about their religion and say, look, what affects you in the religion A affects us in religion B. Do you get what I'm saying? So we need to come together to identify that these people are criminals and we need to flush them out. But if you want to put your ambition first to say you're going to sabotage the system because you are ambitious, you're going to rubbish every effort of what everybody's doing, that's wrong. And that's why we're saying, look, you can't do that. Your ambition is not bigger than people's lives. It's not bigger than everybody's effort. They're trying to bring about a solution.
Okay.
Nobody's calling for a magic. It's not going to happen in the space of 1 week.
We'll leave it there. What Nigerians are asking for is simply solutions. Let the killing, it's turning into a killing field. Let the killing cease. Let the governments at both the national and the state level rise up to their responsibilities of what the Constitution has entrusted them with, which is protection of lives and property, and not forming committees and speaking English, as it were, because people are dying. Thank you so much, Samaila Musa, Public Affairs Analyst and National Coordinator, Grassroots Mobilization Initiative, for being on Newsnight.